Welcome to the UM Dearborn Alumni Engagement Speaker Series. Thank you all for joining us today and for tuning in and watching. My name is Arlisa Robinson. I am a 2018 UM Dearborn graduate from the College of Art, Science, and Letters. I graduated with a bachelor's in psychology. I currently work as a program manager for the Rhonda Walker Foundation in Detroit, and I am currently pursuing a Master of Social Work degree from Columbia University. I'm excited to be here and so excited to see and to talk to and welcome UM Dearborn professor, Dr. Deborah Smith Pollard. Dr. Smith Pollard is a professor of English literature and humanities with the College of Art, Science, and Letters. She has been a faculty member at the University of Michigan Dearborn for 26 years. She's created and taught a range of courses, including and covering contemporary America, women in African American literature, and her teaching has also included Africana studies and gospel music history, which is so interesting and amazing to learn about. Dr. Smith Pollard, I love her. She has been a mentor and amazing professor. My first ever class in African American studies, she really sparked an interest. She was our advisor for the Black Student Union when I was involved. And she also is part of the reason I credit for getting into Columbia University, writing my letter recommendation and believing in me. So I just thank her for that. And today, Dr. Smith Pollard is going to be sharing with us a little bit more about her work on gospel music and how she came to study what she loves. So I just want to say welcome, Dr. Smith Pollard, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Arlisa, and for those kind words. It's great to see you. I'm glad we can do this. Well, I'm calling my presentation Studying Gospel Music and a Few Other Things Got Me Where Some Were Not Certain I Could Go. I thank you to the series committee of the Alumni Engagement Speakers for inviting me to be a part of this. As the eldest and shortest of four siblings born to a choir director turned pastor, the late Reverend Elmer W. Smith, and a pianist who served Detroit Public Schools for 30 years and one church for 50, Rosalie Smith, I was raised to love all kinds of music. And because my parents were avid readers and supporters of education, I decided before I got to high school that I would get a doctorate, a PhD. In my other life in radio, for years, I included gospel music history as one of my segments. That came to be more than that program segment when the director of Michigan State University's museum, don't hate because I went to Michigan State, but anyway, I was just out there doing radio at the time. He heard about me and asked me to fill in for an esteemed scholar who could not be part of their annual festival of Michigan folklife due to illness. During my second summer of doing that work, the museum's director, Dr. C. Kurt Dewhurst, told me I should get a doctorate and that there was money that could support me. I was elated. And I should say that I also put my fingers together like this, but I digress. Anyway, when I announced to a friend that I intended to make the focus of my doctoral program gospel music, she asked if I could actually get a doctorate doing that. I took a deep breath and explained that not only is gospel music the sound many connect to the Black church, it is so much more. It is what helped to shape soul, R&B, and even hip hop. If you don't think that's true, then ask superstars Queen Latifah, Mary J. Blige, and Missy Elliott, all of whom shared great stories about how gospel music, specifically the music from the Clark sisters from the D, had impacted their lives. So much so that they were the executive producers of the Lifetime movie about the Clark sisters that made ratings history on that cable network. If you've seen the movie Ray, you know that Ray Charles was raised on gospel music, and so was the great Sam Cooke. And of course, you know that about Aretha Franklin. But this music did more than just make people want to dance and sing. This vital music sustained those who were part of the civil rights movement. It was part of the music that prepared activists for protests in jail. One of the songs Mahalia Jackson sang just before Dr. King got up to speak his most remembered speech, I Have a Dream, at the March on Washington, was a Negro spiritual. I've been buked and I've been scorned. But she sang it in a gospel style that moved the audience that was there as well as those who were there in TV land watching it as well. She also sang the gospel song How I Got Over, with lyrics that were a reminder to those who had faced discrimination in many forms to look back in wonder at, as they recalled, all that they had overcome and the fact that they had survived it. Gospel music has brought joy and strength to others in myriad situations in this country and around the world. But that was not something I could learn by just listening to or reading about the music. In other words, studying gospel music also meant studying history. That's why my actual degree program, American Studies, was important. I took courses in literature, which I adore, courses in film, another love of mine, and history. Now, those history story classes weren't necessarily my favorite ones, but I wouldn't be able to explain to my students what was happening during a particular time period in a novel or what was occurring culturally when a particular song was released successfully if those delightful history professors hadn't taught me what they did. When I applied to work here at University of Michigan, Dearborn, it was that American Studies degree covering those various areas, especially literature, that got me hired. And apparently my dissertation focused on gospel radio announcers didn't stop me from being hired either. My title is Professor of Literature and Humanities. The humanities include music, so while the majority of my courses, as Arlisa laid out, are about fiction and nonfiction writing, I was able to create a gospel music course that almost always enrolls well. I've written several academic articles, two of them on literature and the rest on gospel music, and that was the topic of my first book as well, When the Church Becomes Your Party. The one I'm currently writing is on the continuous impact of the song Oh Happy Day, which involves including that history and other aspects of cultural content in the US, in Japan, yes, they love that song in Japan, and elsewhere. This particular project has also enabled me to do something most may not associate with those who are not connected to STEM. Believe it or not, I've had students actually work with me and get paid. LaDacia Moore, who is now an alum, exceeded exponentially what I had found on sites regarding the number of recordings of that song. Yeah, the number of recordings were usually listed like maybe 140. She found like 400. And this is important for me not to go to all the details because I want you to buy the book when I finally get that out there. But she did a great job not only identifying who recorded the many versions, but she gave us the genre and the countries as well. And that was pretty amazing. The student currently working with me, Davion Bennett, has assisted greatly by participating in interviews about the song with me. He's transcribed them and even found some elements related to it I didn't even know existed. Again, I won't give you those things that surprised me, but know that working with the two of them has also taken me to unexpected places. My focus on gospel music has provided me with invitations to speak in locations around the world and in some of the most prestigious sites in the US. And those include the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts and the Smithsonian. It's earned me awards that I cherish, as well as students who tell me that they appreciate what they learned in my classes. My bottom line is this: your passion can unexpectedly open doors for you, so don't let go of that passion, even if others are concerned that it may not take you where they think you should go or where you want to go. Trust yourself, even if it involves some elements that are not your favorites, because those too can help you to arrive where you have always hoped you'd land. It happened for me. It can happen for you. Thank you.
I mean, wow, that was amazing. And I feel like I always love hearing from you. You were always one of my favorite professors in your classes. We're always so informative, but you learn so much, and it's like, the reading, like you said, history, and but when you get into it,
Yes.
you learn. When you get into it and connect the things in history to music, to media, to it's so important. I remember I took I believe it was it Black Women in Media?
Yeah, yeah. Voices of Black Women.
Voices of Black Women,
Global
yes,
Music. That's right.
most amazing class. So I just want to say thank you for that. And honestly, all of my questions, you answered all of the questions, so most of the questions I was going to ask you. So thank you for being so amazing in your presentation and just for, I mean, in such a short amount of time, you dropped so many gems. So I'm excited for people to view this. But one question, that I do have, thank you for that presentation. And like just to follow up, I'm going to ask you just a few questions.
Sure.
And the first one is just, what has been the most rewarding part of your educational and professional journey?
Most rewarding. I would say, believe it or not, I have to go back to that history part because when I have the context of some of these um, elements, whether it's of gospel music or of literature that I'm teaching, when you go into some of these historical levels, I'm often amazed at what was going on at the time. And we see just with what I'm working on right now with Oh Happy Day, just think like, oh, okay, they recorded a song. Amen. Let's move on. There are so many layers of things that were going on at the time that
Mm,
helped to move that song where it was. It didn't mean that other songs weren't good. It's just the
mhm.
right moment and knowing all of those levels. And some days I'm going, good grief, what else is there? But it's also amazing to find out. So that's been, even though that was like the, what do you say, the part of it, it's also been a very helpful part of it, very helpful part of it. Mhm.
I love that. Thank you for that. Next would have been, I mean, you've been teaching at U of M Dearborn for 26 years.
Yeah.
26 years. So I know, I mean, just so many things I'm sure have happened. The school has evolved, changes. You've inducted classes, into the curriculum and things like that. What have been some of your most memorable moments that you've had at U of M Dearborn?
Well, over 26 years, as we
Yeah.
like to underline. There have been a lot of them, but some of them have not even been in the classroom. They have been post classroom experiences where students have come up and said, because of what I taught or how I taught it or both, they've decided to go into teaching themselves. And that's always made me feel really special. I've had students who are not from my particular community who've given me all kinds of everything, cookies, cakes, things to put on my desk, and just thank you notes that I've kept just to say thank you for. So that's been very special to me as well. Um,
Mhm.
so I guess those I can allow. And then there was a comment in a class one day that really took my breath away. I was teaching 20th and 21st century women's literature, which I'll be teaching again this fall. And the student said, thank you for not making this about just one community of women. And I kind of took my breath away. And but I said thank you because I had done what I could to go out of my way to make sure I did arrange. I reached out to an Arab American friend of mine who connected me with the Arab American Library so I could try to. She says, okay, here's some selections I think you might want to try. And then I told them, okay, I don't speak your same language, but I do know literature. So if you need to correct me on that part, then let's do that. And it seemed to work out okay for us to cover a range of women. So that was a memorable experience as well because I try to make the courses work.
Yeah, and it sounds like you did. So that's always a plus. And I will say, just to comment on that, how you said like people, students have come up like, oh, you encouraged me to teach. I will say that you have inspired me in that way as well, in several ways where I looked at you as an educator and have said, we need more of that. And how you teach and you engage with your students. So I will just put that out there too. One more to add to your list
Oh,
of
just
people
made
that
my day.
oh no,
Thank you.
you're welcome. You've done so much for me and for my other friends that I know, other alumni, and you really are a staple in the UM Dearborn community. So I would just say thank you. And just one last thing,
Mhm.
kind of leading up to that, how I said you are a staple in our community. And I know several alumni who have look up to you, we may not remember much, but we remember you and your courses. Um, is there, we really do. Um, is there something that you would like to encourage alumni to do moving forward in 2022, just with the rest of our adult lives, as we work to be better professionals and things like that, or just better learners overall and people overall? What is something that you encourage us to do?
Well, let's see if I can go back one to what I was talking about is hold on to your passion
Yeah.
and don't think because, for example, it reflects your community that you should push it aside and do something else. If it's what you love, if it's what you want to spend time learning about, sharing with others, then do that. So that's number one. And the other part is this: remember that it's University of Michigan Dearborn. I'm not going to name some of the really big time people out there in the world who will say they went to University of Michigan. You went to University of Michigan Dearborn. Don't act as if this regional university didn't prepare you to be this big time entity. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's important because I can remember a student coming out of my class. He was enrolled at Ann Arbor, but he came to my course for the summer and he said, "Oh my God, I didn't know the professors at this campus were so good." And I thought to myself, what do you think? They just grabbed us off the street and she just run in there and try to teach a class, see how that works out for you. But he was like, "Oh my God, this is so good." So,
Wow.
if you had a good experience, or even if it was well, not a great experience. If you got your degree from here, let
Mm,
the world know that. Be proud of
yeah.
that because we really put in a lot of time to try to support you. So, yay.
Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. I'm happy, one, to hear your second point, but I'm especially happy that you went back and touched on the first point that you said, because I believe that's so important, to really follow your passions and to follow your heart, because that's what you did. Because that was going to be one of my questions. Is the advice that you have for someone who maybe will find themselves in a predicament, or the situation that you found yourself in, doing something that had never really been studied before, kind of like curating your own path. But I
Mhm.
think that you really hit the nail on the head with that one. So thank you so much. And with that last question, I think we are just about out of time. So I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Smith Pollard. Again, like I said, you are an inspiration to me, to many, 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 many people you may not remember, people that you may have only talked to them one time. I'm telling you, you have made such an impact on so many of our
Um,
lives. So we're so grateful, so thankful. I know I am personally, and I'm so happy that I was able to moderate this discussion with you. So I just
well,
want to
thank you
say
for
thank
doing that.
of course, and thank you for sharing your story, as always. And I just want to say thank you to the rest of our community and those watching, and go blue and go Dearborn.